Hi everyone, thanks for coming. I'm Joy, and I am a yoga teacher in Pangbourne and in Reading. I've been a practitioner of yoga for a long time, about over 20 years, and a teacher for about 18 years. So today we're going to discuss yoga and veganism and how they really help one another. So yes, we're at a vegan festival, but I do have to preface by saying you don't have to be vegan to practice yoga. However, it is helpful for your practice to have a vegetarian/vegan diet. In the scriptures of yoga, the term sattva means purity, and a sattvic vegetarian diet was prescribed for practicing yogis. You have to understand, 5,000 years ago, they could have milk and butter from a cow, but it was given freely. There was no factory farming. There was no dragging a baby calf away from its mother. There was nothing. It was all pretty idyllic. So, but by all means, no meat, no fish, no eggs, and also no garlic or onions or chilies, because they felt that it would be overstimulating to the mind. So a sattvic vegetarian, but we'll just call it a vegan diet because that suits our needs today. So nothing spicy, which is a bummer because I love spicy food. No garlic, no onions, to keep the mind calm in a sattvic or pure state. And that translates also to the body and the organs and the nervous system, keeping the mind calm. So in yoga, there are 8 limbs. The third limb is asana, or yoga postures, where we move. The first limb is called the yamas. It's Y-A-M-A. And those are pretty much sort of like social paradigms that we adopt. So the first one is called Ahimsa, which translates to non-harming. So of course, apply that to veganism. We're not going to harm another animal. We're not going to harm our bodies by putting in unhealthy foods. It's a free space, so I can say dead animal parts here, and no one's going to roll their eyes and run out of the room, because that's what it is. Or animal secretions. So they can cause disease in the body. They can also cause stiffness in the body. So if you're really looking to get into the healing aspect of yoga, not only mentally, but especially physically, putting those acid-forming foods into the body really sort of do a disservice to your yoga practice. The second one is called satya, which means truthfulness. So the truth. So it kind of goes hand in hand with the third one, which is asteya, which means non-stealing. So truthfully, if you asked a cow or a pig or a chicken, hey, do you want to give me your rib? Do you want to give me your food for your baby so I can eat it? They would probably say no, thanks, right? So then if you take it, or someone takes it, it's stealing. So you're stealing something. So in yoga, we have ahimsa, which is non-harming or non-violence. We have satya, which is truthfulness, and asteya, which is non-stealing. So when we take in animal products, you're literally stealing from the animal or from the baby that the milk was for, or the egg that was supposed to be fertilized and become a beautiful chicken. We have the second set of sort of more personal ideals, philosophies, and they're called niyamas. And the first one is Santosha, which means contentment. So when we ingest a sattvic, pure, calming vegan diet, and I can attest this personally because I was a meat eater, 15 years ago, and a pretty staunch one too, until a cancer diagnosis changed my thought process literally overnight and became vegan. And I noticed this profound sense of calm and serenity. Now, not all the time, because I get annoyed with people, but it's an internal thing. So the Santosha is contentment with what is, and not looking outside, like our previous speaker was talking about, looking outside for happiness. Well, the happiness can be found with the practice of yoga, all the 8 limbs, and a vegan diet, and just really nourishing your own self through the practice of yoga, and being mindful about your actions and how they sort of butterfly effect in the world from your dietary choices. We talked about purity and sattva. So saucha means purity. So that means a pure internal landscape. So not only in the mind, but in the body. And of course, that comes from not only vegan food, putting it in our body, but wholesome food. So yeah, I mean, it's fantastic that all this lovely cake is here and all the good, like, vegan hog roast and the pizza. I'm so down with that today because today is the day for that. But like 80% of the time, you know, it's really cultivating that relationship with what is going inside to nourish yourself. So what you watch on, if you have television, what you look at in your social media, how you communicate with people, and what you take in, what you choose to sort of bring into your own space inside. That all comes down to the saucha, the purity, the santosha, the contentment, the ahimsa, the nonviolence, the satya, the truthfulness, and the asteya, the non-stealing. So very much being calm and peaceful and, you know, of course, doing what you need to do with your life. As far as yoga practice goes, and physically in the body, when you don't take in animal products, it's very cleansing, especially if you're doing whole food. And you cook a lot at home, you know where everything comes from, you're not putting in a lot of processed food into your body, which can be equally as damaging as animal products. I hate to break it to you. So like all the mock meats and the mock cheeses, which I love, but I notice if I eat too many of them, I start to get creaky and like things don't move and I just get cranky and I don't feel as sort of, just sort of going with the flow as I do when I really cook whole foods, whole vegan foods, and put them in my body. I practice yoga 7 days a week. You don't have to practice 7 days a week. Some people might think that's a little extreme, but it works for me. It could be 5 minutes. It could be an hour. You know, you do whatever works for you. It's wonderful to have a home practice because there's no distractions. The biggest distraction is trying to get on the mat because you have no one to answer to. When you go to a class, you've paid the money, you show up, you figure, well, I might as well do it. You know, and then there's the teacher there kind of like, well, are you going to do it or not? So there's that. But as far as veganism and yoga, it's like, I find it almost, when someone isn't at least vegetarian with the awareness of the dairy and egg industry, is that I find that there's a disconnect. It's like, oh yeah, I'm an animal lover and I love to practice yoga, but then they're going to go and chow down on whatever. And I just sort of look at them without judgment, and I'm just like, God, they really haven't made the connection yet. Because it's all about kindness. So when you practice yoga, any kind of yoga, it can be, there's a bajillion yogic paths, so whatever works for you. When you practice yoga, you're practicing kindness on yourself. So if you're practicing kindness here, wouldn't you want to radiate that practice of kindness through the animals, through people, just through your being in the room? Yoga practice isn't a magic pill, but I tell you what, it cultivates a wonderful state of wellness inside and who come across you. I'm very grateful that yoga practice found me, and that I'm actually grateful for the cancer diagnosis because I found veganism. I was vegetarian before that, thought it was, no problem, milk and eggs, and then reality said on my head, and it was like, okay, and I haven't looked back since. And I have to tell you, I really do feel the difference between the two. But if you haven't made the step from eating animals, vegetarian is a wonderful stepping stone to eventually becoming vegan, and I highly recommend it. and also to go slowly and do what feels right. And that's with a yoga practice, because you don't have to be flexible and bendy to come to yoga, okay? That's a misnomer. It may or may not happen when you come and practice. So yoga and veganism, they're like sisters or brothers or cousins, you know? They go hand in hand. So does anyone have any questions? Even if it's a personal question, if you have a backache and you want to know what kind of postures would work well for you, I'm happy to answer those kinds of questions too. So please, because we have like quite a bit of time left, and it would be great if you asked me some questions, because then we could talk more. James has the mic, so raise your hand and don't be shy.
I am a yoga teacher, and I'm vegan. I've been a yoga teacher for about 13 years. And I find it very difficult, the amount of teachers that are not vegan. And I wondered how you felt about that.
Thank you for asking that question. You know, I contributed to, like, when a person says, oh, I'm such an animal lover. And they wouldn't dream of eating their dog, but they'll go have a bacon sarnie and not think twice. As far as yoga teachers and being vegan, it really like befuddles my mind. Because I don't want to have judgment, because it's not for me to judge. But you did ask the question, and we're at a vegan festival, so here we go. I think it's really incredibly ignorant. I'm sorry if that offends anyone, but it is my opinion. I just don't understand where the disconnect is. And if you are a real yoga teacher, then you would be talking about the 8 limbs of yoga, not just the postures, which you can go to any gym. I'm not dissing gym yoga, because wherever you can get yoga, take it. But if you're a real yoga teacher, you have studied the philosophy of yoga, and you have a background that is supporting the philosophy. And it's nonviolence. Number 1, nonviolence. Yes, you did not physically go and slit the throat and do the thing, but you better believe someone else did. And so by giving them their money, you're supporting that. And as a yoga teacher, I kind of believe like it's an oath that if this is the path you're going to do, you got to like sort of like walk your talk. That's my opinion. I'm sorry if I offended anybody, but you asked the question. Thank you for asking that question. Did I answer it?
You did. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much. Namaste.